Hey, this is Stephen Watson. I just had a thought about law enforcement. Now, a lot of these cops, I notice, driving for a living and delivering fast food, is they pull people over not based on violating the penal code, laws, but they run their plates first, through Palantir Technologies. They're called the finest, the bravest, heroes and all this stuff. And they do come across a lot of bad stuff, bad car accidents, domestic disputes. But a lot of them are dependent on surveillance. So it's more like, instead of law enforcement, since laws are unjust for the poor, and they mostly pick on the poor people, they pull the person over with a beat up car. They're more like surveillance abuse enforcement. So law enforcement, they're more like a surveillance enforcement agency. And like whenever I'm pulled over, it's usually a lazy cop who doesn't run my plates first, because when they run my plates, it'll be like an asshole cop that's fixing to give you a ticket. You could tell they're running their plates through their computer, and then the cop just goes another direction. He sees, I'm watch listed or whatever, and he's given instructions what to do. But, or the lazy cop that doesn't run my plates, he'll pull me over, then have a change of tune and allow me to go, hand back the driver's license. So, I noticed, a lot of what they do now is just running plates and using surveillance. So it's kind of like the surveillance enforcement agency to the feds. Fusion centers. The military, fusion is actually a military term. So it's kind of like the militarized surveillance enforcement agency. Militarized police. So that is just a thought that police are not really police anymore. They're just surveillance abuse enforcers, serving the federal authorities or whoever's in power, who are now political in how they use federal agencies, With it, when it was Biden, it was all the woke stuff and white people were the enemy. And now under Trump, it's illegals and it's xenophobia type stuff. How these, ICE agents breaking down doors. But that's just a thought that it's, and people say nothing too. It's just like, it's nothing but surveillance abuse, and that kind of ties into, my allegations of the abuse of emerging technologies like directed energy, which is a real sign of bravery and courage, They call it intermediate force. The military calls it intermediate force. The gray zone below armed conflict to get your way, We're going to use force against you to get our way. But that's just a thought. Surveillance enforcement instead of law enforcement.